Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Rio Chonan to defeat Dan Henderson. And I'm here to talk about Jafel Filho versus Daniel Barez. Barez is 16 and 5, 34 years old, and he's given up 1 inch of height and 2.5 inches of reach to 30-year-old Jafel Filho, who is 14 and 3. Barez, he's got 13 finishes in his 16 wins, 7 via TKO, 6 via submission, and he's got 3 decision wins, of course. He's got 5 losses, and they come 2 via submission, 3 via decision. The 2 submissions come to this guy, Chris Mia, who rear naked choked him in round 2, and Manel Kopp, who armbarred him in round 1, from the guard, actually. And Kopp, I say it every time I talk about him, but he's underrated on the ground. His most recent loss comes by decision to Carlos Hernandez, a split decision in a fight that I've seen a few times now, anytime I've had to research Carlos Hernandez. And it was a very close fight, but I thought Hernandez won. I thought he outworked Barez down the stretch, and just outlasted him, outworked him, and outpointed him in the end. But Barez still showed a lot in that fight. He's a very good fighter, really good on the feet. I think if he has an advantage here, it will be on the feet. Although in the wrestling department overall, that might prove to be the difference maker in this fight. He might have an advantage there as well, but I don't know if he wants to take it to the ground. It could be just a wrestling advantage in the fact that he can keep this fight standing. But Barez, he's versatile. Again, 6 submissions, 7 TKOs. He can get it done any which way, and he's shown he can fight hard for 15 minutes, even though I thought, again, he was not the last man standing in that Carlos Hernandez fight. But since then, he's rebounded with, I think, 4 straight wins. And somewhere in Latin America, maybe Mexico, and he's back. He's given another shot, and he's definitely earned it. Going 4-0 after a split decision loss to Carlos Hernandez, which got him in the UFC. This is his shot here. Jafel Filho, he made his UFC debut against Muhammad Makayev. I think that was on very short notice. I think maybe it even wasn't, but either way, it was an incredibly impressive performance. He almost got Makayev out of there with a 3rd round submission, a knee bar from hell. One of the tightest subs I've ever seen, but Makayev got out of it and rear naked choked him or face cranked him later on, another minute later, which just speaks volumes about Makayev. Really, he showed a lot in that moment there. But for Filho, even though he was finished a minute later in round 3, for him to do that in round 3 in a fight in which he was definitely losing and seemed to be running out of options, and for him to create that moment shows a lot about his heart and specifically his grit. Grit is making shit happen when you have the heart to do it in the first place. So you need heart to have grit. He's got both. But yeah, showed a lot of grit there, even though, again, he was finished a minute later. I was impressed with him. His other loss comes by rear naked choke in round 3. This guy, Luan Mateus. Too early to call it a trait, but as of now, 2 submission losses, rear naked chokes in round 3. Might be a trait developing. And his other loss is a decision to Bruno Correa, who is the guy that I think CJ Vergara beat on the Contender Series with a body shot, a knee to the body, to get into the UFC. But still, shows he's not some shit can. But Filho, he's picked up some solid wins as well. Roybert Echeverria, round 3 TKO in the Contender Series. That was nice. Knocked out Vinicius Salvador in round 2. Filho is a really good fighter everywhere. Really good outside striker. Maybe not the greatest. I think he's a little vulnerable in some ways. But still good offensively. And on the ground, he's really good. Despite being tapped twice, I really think a lot of his ground game, especially when he's on top, but even when he's not on top, like the way he dealt with Makayev, he really impressed me there. So I'm really high on him, but not high enough on him to bet on him. Maybe I could pick him, but I can't bet on him here, even though the odds are pretty much razor thin. If I had one strong inclination one way or another, I'd be betting on the guy. But instead, I'm going to stay away from this one. And if I was forced to give a pick, I think we're going to see a very tight decision either way. I don't think Filho is going to be winning the wrestling battle. I think if he won the wrestling battle, he'd find a finish more easily than Barez would if he won the wrestling battle. So I think it'll be a tight decision, and I'll lean towards Barez. Fuck it. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit, and check out my other videos.